Arana, it's a far cry from Marcelo, Roberto Carlos, Cafu, Dani Alves. There's
the US, it's about Brazil as well. Boys, take it away. Of course, Brazil disappointing yesterday.
Absolutely. Yeah, very disappointing in that scoreless draw against Costa Rica.
É mesmo, rapaziada. Viramos motivo de chacota. A seleção brasileira, o futebol brasileiro virou motivo de chacota até lá na gringa e faz piada da gente. Confira esse trecho aqui que foi retirado da ESPN original mesmo. Mas antes, você que ainda não é inscrito aqui no Favela News, venho convidar vocês a se inscreverem aqui no canal. Tem futebol todo dia, toda hora.
What's the over-under on Herc saying US men's national team in this segment? I'm taking 27. Let's see how that goes. And you're not even talking about the US, it's about Brazil as well. Boys, take it away. Of course, Brazil disappointing yesterday.
Absolutely. Yeah, very disappointing in that scoreless draw against Costa Rica, of course, took place just down the road from here at SoFi Stadium. And it was really a pretty shocking performance from Brazil. Lots of the ball, lots of shots, 19, but just 3 shots on target. And of course, one of the big storylines in this one is Vinicius Jr., who was subbed off in the 70th minute. Here's what the Real Madrid superstar had to say after the match, quote, "We know we can improve, we have to improve. I also know what I can improve, evolve, and do for our team. New coach, new players, everything takes time. Our fans want everything immediately done. But we're going little by little. In the next game, I'm sure we'll play much better because we now really understand what the competition will be like, what the pitch, what the referees will be like," end quote. As I mentioned, Ale, he came off with 20 minutes to play last night. Did you think that was the right decision?
If we're basing it on his performance up until that point, yeah. However, it's a big decision to make if you're Dorival Jr., the new manager for Brazil, when you're trying to establish some sort of rhythm for this team. Now, Vini Jr. is saying we're going little by little. It's very little by very little. And in your opening statement, you mentioned that was a shocking performance by Brazil. Historically, yes, shocking. But by the standards that this version of Brazil has been setting, it's not all that surprising. It's becoming a typical performance for Brazil. A team that is struggling to create opportunities, that's struggling to maintain possession and do anything with that possession in the attacking half, that is struggling, once they do create those opportunities, to put those chances away, to get any sort of dynamic movement coming out of the midfield. They depend heavily on the individual talent and the individual play. So it's Rafinha 1v1 situation. It's Vini Jr. 1v1 situation. It's Rodrigo 1v1 situation. Whoever comes on, whether that's Savinho, who actually made a difference, but he made a difference by doing what? 1v1 situation. There isn't combination play going from Brazil. There isn't getting in behind. There is a lot of kind of staring at each other, hoping that somebody's about to do something, and they haven't been able to do that. And it's not just a Costa Rica game. This is the same story that we have seen from Brazil in CONMEBOL qualifiers.
How much of this, Herc, do you think is a Vinicius Jr. problem versus a bigger picture Brazil problem?
bigger picture of Brazil. Listen, Vini Jr. has a lot of blame here. Certainly, his actions, his play. Over 30 games, only 3 goals. His last goal for Brazil was over a year ago. At some point, he himself, who's a Ballon d'Or candidate, has to do something on the field. It's not been the case, but this is a bigger picture for Brazil. You look at the names on this roster, a far cry from the Brazils that Ali, you and I grew up watching. You look at the outside backs on this roster, I mean, Danilo, Wendell, Arana, it's a far cry from Marcelo, Roberto Carlos, Cafu, Dani Alves. There's not that much quality on this Brazilian side throughout all the lines, especially when it comes to being effective in front of goal. Marquinhos, Paqueta, more goals than the forwards that they have, whether it's Rafinha, whether it's Rodrigo, whether it's Endrick or Vini Jr. It's a reality. They lack that quality. Even when it comes to the coaching, Dorival Jr. Certainly may be good in Brazil, but does he have the resume to coach the Brazilian national team? Over 26 teams in his time, 5 in the last 4 years, more of a journeyman type of resume. This isn't the Brazil that we grew up watching, and maybe they're a victim of that, of how good those Brazilian teams were. But it's a far cry from those teams. They lost the first 3 of 6 World Cup qualifiers. Historic loss to Argentina at home. This is much bigger than just, the individual performance of Vini Jr.
However, this is Vini Jr.'s team. And the camera kept panning to Neymar yesterday watching the game.